In India, the patient rights include right to access to care, regardless of the age, gender, caste, creed, or source of payment. Right to respect, which means that the patient has the right to be treated politely. Right to privacy, meaning the patient's medical details should be kept confidential. Right to refusal to treatment, meaning the patient can refuse to receive treatment. Right to consent, meaning the patient has the right to approve of the treatment plan. Right to transfer and continuity of care, meaning the patient has the right to ask for a shift to another hospital. Right to complain, meaning the patient can raise a complaint on any of the services delivered in the hospital. Let us now understand the patient's rights in detail and the rules that need to be followed to protect these rights. If a patient decides to get admitted in a hospital, he shall have equal access to treatment regardless of race, creed, gender, religion, national origin, or source of payment. Once the patient is admitted in the hospital, you should not discriminate the patient in any way and deliver the given care plan. The hospital should take the religious and the cultural sentiments of the patients into consideration. All patients admitted in a hospital should be treated with equal respect. The hospital assistant should communicate with the patient and their attendants politely, regardless of the patient's background. The medical history and the treatment plan that is delivered to a patient are considered to be private details of the patient. The hospital or the hospital assistant should not discuss these details with anyone unless approved by the patient. The hospital must keep the medical history and diagnosis of the patient confidential. The hospital assistant should ensure that these details are not discussed with anyone other than the patient. If the patient does not like the diagnosis or the treatment plan, he can choose not to follow it. The hospital cannot force a patient to follow the treatment plan that is not agreed upon by the patient. As a hospital assistant, you should respect the patient's decision. A patient should be provided with options on the treatment plan. That is, alternate treatment methods should be suggested. The hospital can deliver the treatment plan only after the patient chooses from the options given to the patient. No decision can be taken without the patient's approval. The hospital assistant should always inform the patient about the service that is being delivered and should proceed only if the patient agrees to the same. The patient can discontinue the care that is being delivered at any point and request for a transfer to another hospital. The hospital should facilitate for the shift of the patient to another hospital and cannot stop the patient from doing so. The hospital assistant should cooperate with the patient and ensure that the patient is comfortable during the shifting process. A patient can raise concerns about the behavior of any individual associated with the various departments in the hospital. The patient has a right to complain about any service that is being delivered by an individual. The hospital must ensure that the complaint of the patient is recorded and the required action is taken to attend to the complaint. If a complaint has been lodged against you as an assistant, then you have to offer an explanation and take up the required corrective action to satisfy the patient.